Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair, took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no home, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh. But need cheap keef.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, thought they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Bitcoin wiggling sideways here, guys. I want to go over some targets to the upside and the downside, the areas that I'm going to be personally interested in for some bigger bounces and potentially some new short positions as Bitcoin obviously continues to bleed out here. Not today, but overall, right? Obviously bleeding to the downside. You guys all know my longer term kind of thesis on this. Does look likely that a bear market could be starting. There's still some time to dodge the bullet, guys. We'll talk about that as well, but as far as the charts go, it is looking a little bit dangerous here. So hopefully Bitcoin can pull a little bit of a Hail Mary and get a bigger move to the upside. But either way, guys, we're here to trade the charts whether price goes up or down. So the Mafia's making money either way. And I'm going to talk about those next big areas of interest that I'm looking at for the bounces and the rejections. So shout out to the Mafia. Welcome in, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. We got Nathan in the chat. What is going on? We got Vacation Time. Welcome in. Struggling with the YouTube names right now, guys. I don't know what they did here, but I'm going to try my best. We got K Diggity in the chat. What is going on? Said the scale tips in the favor of zero. Shout out to the real K Diggity. Hopefully not zero, but maybe close, But let's see, we got Nirvana in the chat. Welcome in, Nirvana. Good to see you. We got Neon Visual dropping the crabs and the goats. What is going on, man? Welcome in, Neon. Welcome in. We got Amina in the chat. We got Jesse, Darren Does Things, Rob the Crypto Snob. You guys know the mods. Show them some love in the chat if you love them as much as we do. And, all right, let's see. Yo, Frankie, what's up? What is up? OC in the chat. Oh, yo, guys, I got my dad in the chat. What is going on, Dad? Look at me. I'm on TV. And as you guys know, my dad came in and let us know that he was selling, I think, like dang near 125K, guys. This man snipes the tops. And I know a lot of people have a conspiracy that he might be Satoshi. And I'm not going to lie, guys. Even though he's my dad, I can't confirm or deny that. If this winds up being the start of the bear market, the new sell signal is when my dad, the real godfather, decides to sell his bag. Show him some love in the chat, guys. Thanks for being here, Dad. I appreciate you, and hopefully you enjoy the show. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and don't forget we do have the Black Friday sale for the Discord. Link in the description down below, or go to frankiecandlestrading.com and save some money and get into the Discord. Hashtag not a signals group. But let's go ahead and jump on into the charts, guys. And here we are on the Bitcoin chart, where we typically look at the Bitcoin price. And let me actually turn off some of these levels. And obviously, guys, we have seen the big drop to the downside. I'm not going to cover that too much today because I think we've covered, why we were looking for this drop down. It had everything to do with our 2-day money flow crossing into the red, as well as the daily, as well as the 3-day, still crossing over into the red. I'm going to stop right there. I think everybody understands the money flow is coming out on the higher time frames, but as you can see, we have the white VWAP wave here looking to cross over that zero line, which could potentially give us a green dot and maybe give us a little bit of a move to the upside. But until proven otherwise, guys, I am going to be looking for this to put in a lower high before another lower low to come in. Again, I'm not going to cover the higher time frames too much as far as like how low we can go. I'm only going to cover the local, more relevant levels. I don't think we're going to be coming down to like 60K today. So we'll cover those levels if and when they come. But just to give you guys an overall kind of what I'm thinking here, right? These high time frame green dots print. We are obviously also at our major key level of support, which is that 786 Fibonacci retracement. I'll take that golden pocket off the chart real quick. But you can see we are clinging on for dear life here on that 786 Fibonacci retracement. I do think, guys, if we are going to get a bounce here, I'm not 100% sure exactly what the market structure will look like and exactly, you know, what these candles are going to look like down here. But at the end of the day, maybe we have to go take the low again, and I'll get a little bit more into that. But just to kind of point this out, guys, we had the 786. We had a bunch of MPOCs down here. It was a major zone between about $85,000 and $82,000. Even when we pull this local volume profile down here on this consolidation, you can see we have the POC of the range in there. This is a major level of support, right? And when we talk about seeing some kind of a retracement, obviously, we all know that we've lost that 50-week moving average, which just from simple terms, if you're not really a big chart person, right, losing this 50-week moving average has every single time indicated a bear market, and even if it's not going to indicate the bear market this cycle, it is probably going to indicate that we are switching to a much bigger downtrend, which money flow is obviously pointing to. So any bounces here are going to be looked at as lackluster for lower highs and lower lows. If we could come back up and test this 50-week moving average, which we have seen in the past, you can see we stay above that 50-week moving average. We test it, we get back, we test it, we get back, and then once we close those 2 weekly candles below the 50-week moving average, that was kind of the big news yesterday as we had closed that weekly candle. Once you get those 2 weekly candle closures down here, guys, it is proven to be impossible to get above that. So just to kind of, you know, if I were to kind of point at where we are in the cycle, it could play out something like this, where we come down to the key levels of support. Money flow is all coming out on the lower time frames, and then those green dots can hopefully give us some kind of a relief rally. And of course, that 50-week moving average, which is currently sitting between about 102-ish, 103K, is going to be the biggest level of resistance. If we are lucky enough to get back up there, guys, I mean, hopefully we can flip it and just see a super cycle play out, but of course that is not my base case. Of course, anything is possible, but I'm going to be looking for something like this. So just to kind of give you guys expectations of if we do get a bigger bounce here, which of course, big support, you know, I can't guarantee the bounce will come in, but this is the place that we would really need to see it happen at, right? And then hopefully we can get a big move up to well, right now, let me actually get the actual dollar amount here, sitting at about 102,400, you know, 102, 103K, big level of resistance. And we also do have some confluence on that level with some of our other horizontal levels of support and resistance as well. We pull up these naked points of controls. You can see, you know, we have a lot of resistance here on the way up, and I want to talk about the next two targets I'm going to be looking at before we even entertain coming up to 103K, because that is not guaranteed, of course, but, you know, we have seen it happen in the past. Almost every other cycle, we've come up to get that bearish retest, which would be nice at least for some local relief. And again, huge level of support down here. If we're going to see that relief rally, this is the level it's got to be at, right? Because if we wind up breaking down and we lose this low, guys, not looking good for Bitcoin. We are probably going to be coming in here and start to test, you know, between $70,000 and, you know, $60,000 in this next volume profile that we have down below, which is obviously confluent with all these other horizontal levels of support. And if I pull that volume profile just so you guys can see it, I'll pull it right here and I'll extend it to the right with a little bit of a box, right? So just based off auction market theory, which is really the way that price moves, you have your areas of balance. Right, we had an area of balance up here. Once we lose this level, price is going to seek out the next area of fair value where we just pulled this larger range, right? Actually, let me pull it up here because I already have it marked off. Where is it? Macro volume profile, right? We lose this local profile. Once we break below that value area high probability of filling that range in full. That's why we were looking for shorts at 108K. And then, of course, with those 2 weekly candles below the 50-week, you know, definitely looking higher probability of lower highs and lower lows. But the question is, and of course, right, if we wind up losing this 786, we will be looking for a break of structure to the downside below about $75,000, and price is going to be seeking out that fair value, which of course sits right down here, sitting between, you know, 70 and call it 60K, right? We get accepted into this range. It's going to be a very high probability that we come on down to fill that range in full. And then hopefully, you know, the charts look a lot better here on the higher time frames, and we could start talking about maybe a bottom coming in. But of course, if we're going to see a traditional 70-ish% bear market come in here, guys, you know, 50% would be a little bit muted, which is possible for many reasons that we've gone over on the live streams before, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there, right? I've talked about this so many times. I won't repeat myself. You know, we'll wait until we get a little closer if we have to. But Let's get all this off the chart and jump on down to the lower time frames and break down what we're looking at in here. Where is the next stop locally? What is happening? Are we going to get the bounce? Well, let's go ahead and jump on in here. So on the 4-hour time frame, we were looking at this yesterday. We do have our money flow attempting to come up here, guys. We have a VWAP crossover looking to come in for that 4-hour green dot. And if we pull up our local range here, of course, we were looking at this yesterday, pushing into our golden pocket value area high confluence, where we did have a short setup in the premium Discord. It was actually funny, in the premium live stream yesterday, we were coming up and tapping it, and I was telling the Mafia, like, you know, we don't really have the confirmations, right? We don't have the bearish divergence on the 15-minute, right? We are hitting resistance. Is it possible to just dump down here? Yes, but what I would prefer to see here, based off, if I come into bar replay mode, you guys can actually see how we front run this stuff. You know, I look at this, right? I always say trading is a game of trapping, not a game of hunting. You want to have your key levels set, patiently wait for the levels to get hit, and then you only want to take the trade if you get the confirmations that you're looking for. And here we were hoping for a 15-minute bearish divergence. We came into the level and it's like, oh my God, are we going to dump? And at this point, I was saying, like, listen, you know, of course there is a chance that you could just dump from here. Anything can happen. But what I would prefer to see is to take out this high one more time, giving us that 15-minute bearish divergence. This is a little bit of sauce for the Mafia here on the live stream. And then, you know, throughout that live stream, eventually we did have price come up, break that high, and that was all indicated by front-running Market Cipher B here. You could see, like, when these momentum waves have this big momentum wave, VWAP comes up, all I'm thinking to myself is if this green dot prints, we could potentially print somewhat of a bearish divergence, which would put a lower high in on the momentum wave. And in order to do to print the bearish divergence, you need the higher high on price, which, oh my God, the thunder is going crazy right now, guys. But, oh my God. That's some of the words. I don't know if you guys could hear that. That was crazy. That just shook the studio here. Good Lord. But we wound up seeing that high come in. And again, it's not rocket science, right? It's not some super advanced strategy. It's just seeing that momentum wave, very likely to print that bear div. And in order to get the bear div, you need to take out the high. So we sit out there, and then we look for that bearish divergence. It finally prints a little bit later. We get accepted back below the value area high, and we start coming down. And of course, if I play this through, obviously we did wind up coming back down. Now, I did actually take a position here last night, but I did get stopped out at break even here. So super frustrating. But we're kind of just bing-bonging around here, guys, and I want to talk about those next big levels of resistance and support. Now, obviously, as I said yesterday, this was just more of like a scalp level. We're viewing this as a typical range where we typically go from the value area low. We even got the bullish divergences down here. Once you get the bounce, you're looking to come up to the POC, flip the POC. You could eventually look to get that push into the value area high. So if this does continue to play out, and I'll take a look at Market Cipher with you guys to show you kind of the probability of this playing out. But very simply, my key levels that I'm looking at right now, guys, on the major key levels, of course, I always prefer to see the low taken out. This is not 100% going to happen, but I would really prefer to see a big rotation to the bottom of this range, push into about $80,000 psychological level, and then hopefully we can get the reclaim for another bounce to the upside. So, you know, if we break this low, I wouldn't say it's like necessarily like, oh my God, now we're going down to 70K, because we could just take out that low and bing bong around here, right? We might get some ranging structure before we finally get a decision made on what the next big move is going to be on Bitcoin. And again, of course, we've been very bearish here, but we have to anticipate, right? It's unlikely that this is just going to be one straight drop to the downside. Now, is that impossible? Obviously not, but as I've shown in the past on 2021, right, it is very likely that at some point you're going to get some kind of a relief rally in here. So, and yesterday, right, this was the local level we were interested in, but the level I was more interested in is really sitting up here. Between about $90,374, leading all the way up to about, like, you know, I would even say like $91,000 to $92,500, right? We have the anchored VWAP, we have the weekly MPOC, and we have the 786 Fibonacci retracement. So very simply, at this point, I am sitting for these bigger targets to get hit. Very same exact thing as yesterday, right? If we break out of this range and push into our next key level of resistance, I will be interested in some short positions here to potentially get a retracement back to the downside. And then for the longs, again, taking out the low is my preferred area to look at. But, you know, I don't know if we're going to push up here tonight or tomorrow. Again, we will take a look at Market Cipher B. But if we get a push up here, I'm simply waiting for this level to get hit, right? I thought I had an alert set. Let me just go ahead and set an alert here so I don't miss this. Bada boom. There we go. So this is going to be the next major level of resistance. We're just kind of bing-bonging around the local value area high. But if we do get the breakout, this is the next big level to the upside. And if we do indeed go from value area low to value area high, and this does give you the continuation down to the POC, we have a little bit of confluence on this POC, guys. As you know, I am not a huge fan of trading the middle of the range. But if we pull our Fibonacci from the high to the, or from the low to the high, pull up our golden pocket, you can see that golden pocket confluence here between the POC and, of course, the golden pocket, right? So this is going to be local support. I will be interested in potential scalp longs here. Could this eventually turn into a higher low? To eventually, if we come down first, this could be a good area to look at for the higher low in order to get the move into that 786 at $90,000 to $92,000. So I will be interested in scalp longs at this level. If this fails, right, we'll just simply be looking for this to continue down to the value area low. And if I was not stopped out at break even here on the short, right, at that point, it would be take a shot at the short. If that fails, you get stopped out hopefully at break even, if not small loss, and then the short continues to pay you out to that final target, which would be the value area low, and potentially just below that into $80,000 to about $78,550, where we have that weekly NPOC. So that's what I'm looking at, right? Just kind of waiting for this, sitting on the hands and waiting for this stuff to develop here. Will we get the push up first, or will we get the push down first? These are the local levels that I'm looking at, and when we take a look here, I'm going to take this Fibonacci retracement off the chart. If we take a look at the 4-hour, of course, money flow not looking horrible here, right? If we can get this crossover into the green, it could indicate that we could continue a little bit of a bigger uptrend. And then, again, this is going to be that next significant level of resistance. And the second major target that I will be looking at as far as short positions or even just rejections is going to be sitting, if we can get above that anchored VWAP, above this 786, we could potentially push all the way up here into the $96,000 zone. So here you go, right? A little bit of a freebie. These are all the major key levels that I will be looking at. And again, just setting those traps in the market. A lot of people would say, yeah, but what if it pushes here? Aren't you going to miss the long? I mean, technically, but it's no big deal, right? You just wait for that next, if I do not have a trade set up here to look for a long, I could expect higher and not take that trade and then just wait for the actual setup to present itself. If I come up here with those confirmations, that's my trap. If I see the confirmations present themselves, that is like the mouse taking the bait, and I will go ahead and fire on that short position. Now, of course, with our 4-hour money flow coming up, we are going to have to be a little bit careful here because if that money flow does continue up and starts crossing into the green, we can obviously take some scalps here, but we do have to be aware that you could, with that money flow crossing into the green, indicating that the trend could continue up. It might just be a little scalp from here down to the value area high or some local Fibonacci retracements, because if that money flow is crossing green, we could anticipate higher lows and higher highs, which would very likely drag us into that $96,000 area, technically sitting between the $95,102 and $96,835. We have two daily MPOCs and a weekly MPOC sitting there. And of course, when we start pulling our Fibonacci's that we looked at yesterday, we do have some confluence on those as well. I'm not going to pull them right now, but maybe I will. Let me actually just pull them. So we're going to pull from our high here at 107.4, the last opportunity to take that short setup. You can see that golden pocket is backing you up here on the $96,000 zone. Of course, that's going to be added confluence. And then above that, right, I'm not really looking up there just yet, but as I mentioned, if we are going to get the big retracement up to 103K, you can see we do have more confluence up there. This is what you want to see for high probability reactions, guys. You want to see multiple levels. You have the 786, daily MPOC, weekly MPOC, and another daily MPOC up there, right in confluence with the 50-week moving average. So these are the big zones that I'm looking at, guys. And very simply, if we come up here, we do not get the confirmations, we will simply look for a continuation up. If we don't get the confirmations, we're going to look for that continuation up. And then, of course, do I think it's a high probability to flip this and go into new all-time highs? Probably not. But if we get above that 50-week moving average, we could start talking about some higher targets sitting between, 100, closer to about $110,000. But we have a lot of work to do here. You can see all the confluences are tightly stacked on each other. These are the big levels to be looking at for rejections. And that's simply what I'm going to be doing here. I'm going to be sitting here patiently with the alert set. I got alert set on all of these levels. So we'll see what happens. And then if we come down, of course, right, I would always prefer to see the low taken into the value area low. As we know, once price deviates below this value area low, we look at that as a cheap asset relative to the recent price action, just like we did back here. Bounce off the value area low, go to the POC, back to the high. So I always do prefer taking longs at the value area low, but of course, with that confluence here on the local golden pocket, and the money flow coming up on the 4-hour, we can be aware. You also have a daily MPOC here. I don't think I mentioned that before. We do have some confluence here. The only reason I am interested in this level at all for a scalp is because you have the confluence and that golden pocket is in confluence with that POC, right? Because again, when we're in these ranging structures, I always prefer to take the longs at the lows, but with that money flow coming up, of course, putting the higher low in is possible, right? So I will be interested in that. And then who knows? Maybe we'll get the rejection from 91K or 92K, right? And then we come down and take the low. So we'll see. We have to kind of see how that develops. It's impossible for me to tell you exactly, what the price is going to do. Sometimes we do, right? Sometimes it just follows the magical line, but there is an element of luck that comes into that. So those are the big levels I'm looking at. Other than that, guys, we're just still within our volume profile here. Not really too many developments. We were hitting the resistance yesterday. We got a little bit of a pullback, nothing dramatic. So just going to be sitting here and waiting to see what level we can hit next. Let me come in a chat here real quick. Let's see. All legends in this chat. Shout out to You Grow, I Grow. Yeah, we got the OGs in the chat. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. It's time to banish the bears to the shadow realm. Shout out to Eddie. I hope so. And again, guys, if I had to make an argument for all-time highs, I feel like I always have to do this because I know everybody wants to know, is there a possibility that all these bearish signs don't matter? Is it possible that the charts could be totally wrong? Is it possible that the timing of the cycles can be just totally wrong? And of course, the answer to that, guys, is yes, right? Anything can happen here. But when you look at this traditionally and historically, right, losing the 50-week moving average has indicated the bear market every single time, specifically with 2 weekly candle closures below. It's just not a good sign, guys. And I'm open, right? I'm not one of those people that's going to sit here and be like, I know a lot of people will be like, this guy's a bear. I don't identify myself as a bear. I'm a trader, right? So the only reason I would be looking for more downside is based off the charts, right? If we get back up to that 50-week moving average at 103K, we start flipping it. We took a look at these levels yesterday, just the big Fibonacci retracements that we were looking at in 2021, right? The two major retracements are pulled from the tippy top all the way to the swing low. There's your full golden pocket retracement. But notice, there's no guarantee that you have to come up there. So you have to keep an eye on the local levels as well. That next Fibonacci retracement we would pull is going to be from the lower high to the lower low. And you can see that is the one that the lower high comes in at. And there's a very simple system for this. If money flow is coming out, right, in this case on the high time frames like the weekly, like the 6-day, like the 4-day, right, all crossing into the red, that makes us think, well, hey, we might be starting a bigger downtrend, which makes you favor fading the highs rather than buying the lows for massive moves up. Now, it doesn't mean you can't long this, but you have to understand the context. There was, I don't remember exactly, it was a long time ago. I don't remember what kind of trades we were taking down here. Probably took the long here, but not looking for that to rip into new all-time highs, right? Based off the money flow coming out. And then we simply say to ourselves, money flow is coming out. We are probably going to put in a lower high and a lower low. Where are the highest probability areas to do that? Well, if you get the full retracement, it would have come up here to 55K. We obviously didn't get that. If we don't make it up there, where's the first place we can reject before that? It's going to be the local Fibonacci retracement. So when we bring these up just from a simple Fibonacci perspective, it's there's your full retracement sitting at about $108,000, which is confluent with our macro value area high that we all know and love. Sitting right there at 108K. And we could actually pull this to our current price action as well. In that case, the 786 becomes confluent with your value area high as well. But just looking at the simple Fibonacci retracements, there's your full retracement. Where is it pulled from the lower high to the lower low? That sits right up in here on that 50-week moving average. So these are going to be those two levels. Just like last cycle, you would have been looking at these two fibs, right? Doesn't mean you can't get that full move into the full retracement, but it's well, hey, I don't want to miss it if we get a rejection early, right? So you're just going to pull that second fib. And those are going to be the two zones that I'm looking at here. So just from a simple perspective, it's if we do get the bigger retracement, it brings us up into that 50-week moving average. You have that golden pocket 786 confluence, definitely possible for a lower high and a lower low. And then if we push above there, we would simply be looking up towards about 108 to $116,000, where we also have a lot of liquidity sitting above, which I'm going to have to pull up the 6-month chart, I believe, to actually see it, because we've got to zoom out a ton, because we're very far away from that at this point. There it is, $116,000. You can see all that fat liquidity sitting up there, of course, confluent with that 786. Now, a lot of people would say, doesn't the liquidity act as a magnet? I don't know if this is going to be the magnet that sucks us up here. The way I use this, guys, is the closer we get to that level, that's where I start to look at it as a magnet, right? There's no guarantee that you have to come sweep this liquidity before going lower. But if we start getting a lot closer, right, we can start to look for those liquidity sweeps up here for quick wicks above, closing down below for a bigger rejection back down. And with that being said, if we get back up above that 50-week moving average, above that local fib, we push into here, this is kind of the last place to reject. Once we get up here and we can hold support, that's kind of what we would need to see for new all-time highs. I think this is the lower probability situation, at least based off the charts, because, again, what situation are we in? We have the 2-day money flow in the red. We have the 3-day money flow in the red. We have the 4-day money flow about to cross over into the red. We have the 5-day money flow just crossed over into the red. So any bounces have to be looked at as lower highs and lower lows. And those are 100% going to be the 2 biggest zones to look at. So there you go. Nice and simple. And then literally the line in the sand to call for all-time highs. There is a situation where it happens, guys. Hopefully it happens by the end of the year. But again, I just have to say, based off everything we've gone over here, time and time again, the cycles, the 50-week moving average, the bearish divergences, right? This was all on the chart at 108K. We warned about this, and here we are, right? So just a more bearish situation. But, you know, if you did want to see those new all-time highs, you pretty much got to break above 116K. And there's nothing on the chart that is pointing towards new all-time highs right now. So we just kind of have to see it happen. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Dylan, said so much Diddy above us. Oh, God. Chat's unhinged. I appreciate all the info. Shout out to Tone. No problemo, bro. I'm up here doing what I love, man. I wouldn't have it any other way. But I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much. Lurk smash. Shout out to Gas Top. What is going on, bro? Welcome in. Lurking and smashing the like button at the same time. I love it. Shout out to Tone, said everybody has to take full responsibility for their trades. Absolutely. We talked about this yesterday, right? It's like 2 people could take the same trade. 1 person can make money. 1 person can lose money. How does that work, right? Same setup, same TA, same everything. It all comes down to your trade management, your risk management, right? If you're not using a stop loss, you're going to lose money much faster than a guy who's using good risk management, right? No one can force you to set the stop loss. No one can force you to take a partial take profit. So personal responsibility, of course. Absolutely. It's the one thing. It's the secret to trading, guys. Like, there's so many profitable strategies out there. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need an 80% win rate to make money trading. The only reason you would need that high of a win rate is if you were just gambling, risking your entire account, right? You could have like a 50% win rate or a 55% win rate or 60% win rate and still make a ton of money. You could like lose a majority of the trades and still make money if you're using good risk management, because on your losses, even if you lose more than you win, if you're taking smaller losses on those losses, and you're taking big wins, right, over time, that's going to keep you in the game, and it's going to keep your account growing over time, right? If you're not setting stop losses and you lose 1 trade and you nuke your account, you literally have to lose 1 trade before you're kicked out of the market and you have to reload your account if you even can. But when you use good risk management, if you're risking like 1 to 2 to maybe 3% of your account, we'll just use 1% for an example, you could lose 50 straight trades in a row and still have half your account left. So it's very important. This is like the secret that I think a lot of people don't talk about. Win rate is far less important than your risk management. I think people have unrealistic expectations for their win rate. Like when I have people ask me like, like personal friends that aren't in crypto, they'll be like, oh, like you're trading now, like how many of the last 10 trades did you win? And it's like, I get it, right? Like if you win a lot of trades, that's awesome. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's kind of the wrong metric, right? Because you could have a bad week and lose 5 trades in a row and still be making money over the long haul, right? So risk management over strategy, whether you're trading smart money concepts, whatever ICT, patterns, order flow, Fibonacci retracements, volume profiles, whether you're trading on just market cipher, the risk management is going to be the most important thing every single time. I promise you that, right? Most strategies are profitable enough to make money, but you got to protect your money. If you don't protect it, it'll run away from you. I promise. But let's see. Shout out to Creighton. Thank you for the super chat. He says, hey, Frankie, thoughts on setting a range here, maybe 1 to 2 months, similar to how we came up. Fast move, consolidate, and correct. Get choppy. Last cycle, we longed those 2 wicks into the blood diamond, then shorted. Shout out to Creighton C. That's really funny. Creighton's been here forever. I pretty much started my channel like as we were getting this dumped down. So yeah, I guess we did long both of these lows. Can almost mark out exactly why, right? We're probably looking at this as a volume profile, although it would look a lot different back here. But yes, I definitely could play. I drew this yesterday, right? I pulled this fractal yesterday. It could look something similar, right? Now, I'm never going to look at this and be like, well, hey, this looked, this is going to look exactly like what this is going to look like, right? I'm just going to resize this a little bit to match it up, right? Like, it could be something like that, right? You get down, you get the bounce, you start to chop around, you start testing that 50-week moving average. Of course, this is going to move itself down. So whether it's just like one big push up and then a dump down, or we kind of come up, back down, up, back down, up, back down, and then we come back to lower prices, right? It could play out something like that. This is pretty much the same situation that we're in. So yes, I shout out to Creighton. I totally think that could be the case. Not guaranteed, obviously, right? We could just kind of right? But it would make some kind of sense here, right? Maybe bing bong around, and then you just wind up losing it. Definitely a possibility there. Looks eerily similar to what happened here. Now, of course, you can't just take that one for one, right? A lot of people would just be like, oh, let me just pull the fractal from the 2017 top. Well, this is what the top is going to look like. Well, actually, not too far off. Breakdown, retest, and then eventually dump it. But yeah, it could play out slightly different, but that's kind of the idea, right? Regardless of what that price action looks like, maybe we take the low one more time. I can't call the exact shape, but something like that is what I would expect. Something to like rhyme, right? I would say it might rhyme with that. And then, of course, if we flip the 50-week moving average, it's like, all right, well, cool. Now we could potentially head up towards 108 to 110K, where, of course, we know we have that next Fibonacci retracement, right? Once you get above 116K, well, at that point, it is what it is. Hopefully the charts look a lot better. And I'll be honest, guys, there's a possibility here that if we do come up and sweep above 116K, you could see something like that, right? Like, that would be brutal. Everyone would be getting super excited, and then they would just turn around and dump it on everyone. Also a possibility of something like that, right? Sweep the high one more time. That would be absolutely brutal. Again, I think this is the lower probability. I'm thinking the retracement is probably going to come up a little lower than that. But yeah, if you're looking for new all-time highs, right, like, that's kind of what you need. Get above the 50-week moving average, then we can start to entertain that idea. We'll recheck in on the money flow. Maybe it looks a lot better. And if it looks better, guys, there's nothing I'll be able to say when I get up here. I'll have to be up here and be like, hey, guys, we're back above the 50-week moving average. Money flow looks great now, and we're going to go up. I just think there's a low probability that that's going to be the case, right? But if it is, I will 100% come up here and say it. I don't have a choice about what I talk about, right? I don't come up here and be like, I'm going to be really bearish today, right? I have no ulterior motives. I'm just here to bring the information. And if the information looks good up there, I will say it. But if I had to guess what the information is going to look like up there, probably still going to be bearish. But if it doesn't look like that, I will 100% say, hey, this looks good. And I pray, right? I want price to go up as much as everybody else, right? So I hope that's the case. Doesn't make it the highest probability. The market does not care what you want, right? It never will, right? I know a lot of people were hoping 100K, 100K, 100K. I remember it like it was yesterday. 30K is the bottom. High or low? What do you think about that high or low? And I'm just like, I don't know, man. It doesn't look good. Higher lows are not all created equal. We're below the 50-week moving average. Now, like back here, it was a different story, right? Yeah, yes, we had the 30% dump. It was a little scary, but you're holding that 50-week as support. New all-time high. And you have plenty of time left in the cycle. Same thing here. Massive bullish divergences, holding the 50-week moving average. Number one, we don't have the massive bullish divergences. Number two, we're way below the 50-week moving average. So this is a totally different situation than what it was back here and back here from a timing perspective and just a chart perspective. Now we have the massive weekly bearish divergences, exact same stuff we saw up here, and that's just where my concerns come from. So we'll see what happens. The beautiful thing is we can make a lot of money on that way down. If you know how to trade, if you know how to make money trading Bitcoin, whether price goes up or down, you could short that sucker and load up some profit to buy back in when the bottom comes in. So there you go. Come back into chat. We will take a look at some of the altcoins as well today, guys. Max pain, in my opinion, would be fake out to above the 50-week moving average, lower high at 116 to 120K or so, and then right back down to 60K. Shout out to Brill. We actually covered that situation yesterday. Someone asked what the max pain situation would be. Many ways that you could see max pain, but yes, I mean, I really think like you really start teasing those highs. And again, we can look at those Fibonacci retracements and understand here, guys, sometimes these retracement levels, I could bring this back. Let me pull this chart back up so I can look at some cleaner stuff. Boom, boom, get rid of this, get rid of that. So, back here, it was right here. We were looking at, I think it was this, pull up the weekly here. Yeah, so it was this weekly 786. This was like kind of similar. We were looking at this golden pocket 786, right? It was pulled from the high. Whoops, not this low. From this high to the low. You have this golden pocket 786. At this point, this 786 at $121,000 was the level to get above in order to see a new all-time high come in there, which we did see the new all-time high, but we had to flip this in order to go, right? And on the lower time frames, right, it can sometimes look a little bit interesting, right? Because you can see here, I mean, even if we look at the daily, right, daily chart, you rip above it, right? You're like, oh my God, this is really good. But it quickly gets ripped back down. And that's why at this point, what we wanted to see was the weekly candle closure above that 786. And when we look at the weekly, you can see it wound up just being a big wick, and it was basically an SFP on the higher time frame of the weekly on that 786. The wick above, the candle closure down below. At that point, we say, hey, this is bearish. We also, I believe it was the daily money flow, was starting to trend out here. And at that point, when you get that rejection from the 786, you're looking at that as a high, a low, a lower high. I know you broke out here, but that weekly candle closure gives you technically a lower high for a valid lower low to come in. At that point, we shorted this as well. We shorted all these all-time highs. Pretty proud of that. We shorted this all-time high, shorted this all-time high, shorted this all-time high. I think we even shorted this one. People say you can't shorten a bear market, right? We make money when the price goes up or down, right? Just because you shorten a bull market, I think I said bear market, that doesn't mean you think it's going to zero, right? You're just looking at the structure saying, well, hey, if we're going to break this low and we're going to have a sizable move to the downside, why not make money on that move? But just to kind of show that, right? Sometimes it can get tricky. It's like, oh my God, we're breaking out. And then you let the price action settle and the weekly candle closes below that Fibonacci retracement. It's still bearish, right? It's going to be the same thing up here. So when you talk about that Max Payne situation, right, if we pull that full Fibonacci retracement, right, 116K is the 786, you could potentially get up there and like push, right, and then it's like that weekly candle eventually comes back down, right? That would be super brutal, like really tease everybody. Maybe even sweep the high. That'd be crazy. But again, I even still think that's probably the lower probability scenario. But that would be definitely Max Payne. At that point you would be up 45%, right? Massive 45% rip before coming back down, right? 50% correction. You get 124% rip to the upside, but you just sweep the high, and then this was a push of about 45%. Interesting stuff. But again, this is all speculation, right? I don't know exactly what it's going to look like up there. We have to wait for the price action to develop. But just giving you guys some forward-thinking ideas of what that can look like. I think this is probably the highest probability, just looking at history. And then if we push up there, you really got to get above the 786 like decisively, right? Not just some kind of push up and break back down below, similar to what we had happen here. All right, let's see. Load up shorts, indeed. I will, Master Frankie. I will. Shout out to Kevin's Awake. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Not financial advice, of course, guys. Shout out to Tone. Thanks for the advice. I learn every day at Baru. YouTube, bud. I don't know what that was in reference to. Shout out to Henry says, I'm in a call with JP. He says, only sell. Come on, Jay Powell. Don't do it to us, man. Don't do it to us. All right, so let's take a look at some of the altcoins, guys. Let's just checking on lower time frame. Yeah, Biddy just kind of bing-bonging around here. A little choppy chop. But let's take a look here. Let's come out of our replay mode. Let's go ahead and jump on over. Check in on dominance. Still pushing down here. Again, guys, if we get this retracement up for Bitcoin on this falling dominance, it would very likely, somebody said A to pushing. Oh, A to getting a little bit of a bounce here. But this would very likely be good for altcoins to retrace as well, obviously. and if Bitcoin dominance can come down on that retracement to the upside, right? If we can see Bitcoin get the retracement up, we can see Bitcoin dominance continue down. That could be good for some kind of an altcoin rally. Now, I'm not going to be calling for some kind of massive, euphoric, blow-off top, insane, god-tier alt season. I hope it ends up being that, but I would probably be looking at this more as a rotational, a rotation of capital within crypto, right? Not just like a massive liquidity injection, super euphoria type alt run. But at the end of the day, if this dominance comes down, right, we're seeing the continuation of the push here. So money flow back in the red on the 16-hour. That daily money flow is coming out. That's nice to see as well with the red dot printing. Hopefully this can leak back into the 2-day to cross back into the red. Hopefully that 3-day is back in the red. 4-day just crossed over into the red yesterday during the live stream. We got the alert here, right? So this is technically looking weak, right? Doesn't guarantee that the alts are going to absolutely rip, but hopefully on that retracement up, we can see this start to break down, and money flow looks like it's starting to head in the right direction. Taking a look at Ethereum, not a real big update here, guys. We're just still chopping around like Bitcoin, right? We had this key level down here. This is where we were looking for the bounce. We put in the 12-hour bullish divergence, as you can see. lower lows on your price action, higher lows on your momentum waves, and we get the bounce directly from that key level. If this bounce continues, the biggest level of resistance to look at on Ethereum, in my opinion, is going to be 32.47 up to 35.20. This would, again, just to kind of manage the expectations here, right? Like this would feel very bullish, right? But, you know, people get bullish anytime price pushes up. This is bullish, right? We're pumping. How could you not say this is bullish? Well, overall context is always going to be more important, right? And what happens? You get the rejection, you eventually get the breakdown. Oh my God, we're pumping. This is bullish, right? Look at your money flow. Look at your money flow. Look at your money flow. Lower highs and lower lows are more likely. And the reason this is such an important level, in my opinion, is because not only is it the local golden pocket 786, which is an area where you could put the next lower high in at, right? It also brings you into the value area high. If we can't break out of this, guys, we're probably going to get further accepted into this range and continue pushing down through this volume profile. And a big target within this profile to the downside is going to be about 23.52. I'm not saying you have to go down there right now, but if we can't get out of this value area high, could get accepted and keep pushing down towards that POC. We also have some confluence there with 2 daily naked points of controls. You can see it all clustered up here. So that would just be the next target. If we do come up and get rejected back into the range, that's going to be the next target. Very high probability of that. If we can get the break above the 786, flip this value area low to support, well, then we can start talking about maybe getting accepted into this upper volume profile. But I'm not going to talk about this until we break out here, right? Because at the end of the day, there's no reason to talk about this if we're just going to get a lower high and a lower low. But that would be the level to break, 35.30, 35.20. Break above that, you can start pushing up towards closer to about $4,000. And when we take a look at our Fibonacci retracements on Ethereum, let's pull it from this local, well, not local high, but this recent high. Look at that golden pocket, directly confluent with that value area low. So it's like, even if you do get that breakout, it's like you're going to hit your head onto all this resistance. At the end of the day, that's still where the lower high can come in. So unless money flow shapes up in a big way, it's going to be the same viewpoint as Bitcoin. So there you go. That's what I'm going to be looking at on Ethereum. Locally, it looks the same as Bitcoin, right? 4-hour money flow continuing up. Maybe we can continue the local trend. But again, that's my next big target. 32.47 to 35.30, 35.20. So there you go. Let's check the 12-hour. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, guys. Take a look at the daily real quick. Yeah, slight exaggerated bull div there. Nothing super extreme. No 2-day bull div, but you're getting the green dots. Same thing on Bitcoin, right? 3-day green dot is looking to print on Bitcoin. It's printing here on Ethereum. 4-day green dot looking to print, but of course with the money flow coming out, looks very similar. 3-day money flow coming out, 4-day looking to cross over into the red. You're 5 days in the red, 6 days in the red. Weekly is just starting to cross over into the red. So the hopes here, guys, are that these green dots can give us the retracement. And I guess the super hope is that those green dots just invalidate the money flow and push you into new all-time highs. Until we see that money flow flip around, I'm looking for something like that. All right, let's see. Shout out to Simonella. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you. He says, love the content. Daily candles starting to look like a hammer. Thoughts? Buying BTC through ETF that is only open for 8 hours. Have to predict the other 16. Let's take a look at the daily candle here on good old Biddy. What do you say, Biddy looking like a hammer? Yeah, a little bit of a bull hammer, maybe. Maybe. Yeah. Not a, of course, this is something I would look at, right? I don't make decisions based off of this. But, yeah, I would say that is looking a little hammery, right? Nice little wick on the downside, little to no wick on top. Definitely looking a little bull hammery. Not something I would, look to trade based off of, to be quite honest. Just more of something I take into account when I'm trying to build out my context. But for me, to look for the bigger move up, that daily candle doesn't really have a lot to do with it. Not that you shouldn't pay attention to. It's just the way that I trade. I'm paying more attention to this money flow. We could print this. It's pretty much the same thing as yesterday, guys. We're not really far off of the prices we were at yesterday. Even if we pull up our local range here, it's like this is the local context. Right? If that 4-hour green dot can print, maybe we just push out of this volume profile where we can look up into 91 to 92K. But this green dot is the same thing as yesterday. If we can print that green dot and have this money flow cross into the green, that would be good indication that you could start that bigger trend to the upside. I don't know if it's exactly going to look like that, obviously. But, yeah, that's kind of what I would look at. But, yeah, I was looking a little hammery there on the daily. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you. check others. Let's take a look at others. I said monthly bull div. I do not see a monthly bull div. Yeah, I do not see a monthly bull div. You might be seeing it on like an RSI or something. I can check that. Yeah, I do not see a monthly bull div here, unfortunately. I don't know exactly what you're looking at or what momentum indicator you're looking at, but I do not see. So for a bull div here on others, what we would want to see is a low, a lower low, and we would want to see a low and a higher low. We just don't have any momentum waves down here just yet. So I do not see the monthly bull div. Money flow also coming out here on the monthly. It's a little hard to say, right? Because like we have not seen a rotation into the red here ever. At least historically, there's not enough information. But money flow generally trending down. Let's take a look at the weekly. I mean, weekly money flow crossing over into the red. You know, no weekly, no real weekly bull div either. So the kind of hope would be the same thing here, right? It's like maybe that green dot prints. You can get a push to the upside. But with money flow coming out, right, you do have to be careful of the lower highs and the lower lows. Dang, man, I got excited. I was like, is there really a monthly bull div? Dang. Maybe it's popped up on what you're looking at. I just don't see it here based off what I look at. Hopefully, what you're seeing is correct, though. That would be nice. Let's see. Oh, others BTC. I don't see a bull div here either, unfortunately. Man, I got extra excited. Hang on. Let's look at this for a second. Yeah, so, I mean, you have a lower low here, but you have a lower low here. You have a higher low here, and you just don't have another momentum wave here. So I don't see it here either, unfortunately. Yeah, like even here, I mean, yeah, I don't see it. Like not even here on the weekly. Higher low, right? So for the bull div, what I would like to see is a low, a lower low. And yes, you could look at the wick. I don't really take that into account either way, right? It doesn't print the momentum wave down here, so it doesn't even really matter. But if we had a lower low here, and a higher low here, that would be a bull dip there. But I am not seeing it, unfortunately. Definitely not seeing it on the monthly. All right, well, one thing that is nice is the money flow looks a bit better here, right? Like your 4-day money flow has been in the red forever, as obviously others BTC has been bleeding. Nice big red wave finally crossing into the green. That looks nice. You know, again, I would love this even more if there was a lower low here and a higher low for the bull div. But at face value here, 4-day money flow looking across into the green, 3-day money flow in the green, 5-day money flow attempting to work up, 6-day money flow attempting to work up, weekly money flow attempting, maybe working on a higher low there. But yeah, I mean, this has been in the red for ever. This has been in the red for 1,127 days. But yeah, you get the 4-day money flow crossing up. That's nice. Yeah, I mean, you're at the value area low, so hopefully we can get a bounce there, right? And again, if Bitcoin retraces and alts and dominance dumps, right, we would see this get above the POC and start pushing up. So I would say the key level to break here would be about this POC sitting at 0.123762. And then hopefully we can get a little bit of a push up there. You know, hopefully up to the value area high. I don't know. You know, it's a little bit of a lofty goal in my opinion as of right now. But flip that POC. Money flow comes up. If you can get that trend to continue to the upside, something like this, right? Again, I'm not saying you have to come up there, right? That would just be based off the volume profile, what you would expect. Go from the value area low to the POC, flip the POC, money flow comes into the big green wave, and you look for some kind of a continuation of that trend. So actually it doesn't look super bad. And it does line up with Bitcoin dominance bleeding as Bitcoin gets the retracement. That would line up very nicely. Shout out to whoever asked for that. That was worth the look. That was worth the look. Shout out to Tales of Mystery. Said thank you for everything, or thank you for yesterday's TA in the premium. It almost feels like a mentorship. Bing bong. Shout out to Tales of Mystery. Yeah, let's go, baby. Let's go. I appreciate that, bro. That means we're doing our job. Right? Like one of the big values that you get in the Discord is that you just get my daily, you get my personal trade setups that I'm looking at. I talk about the actual entry confirmations that I like to see in the Discord on each trade. Not that you have to look for the same confirmations, but I just share with you guys exactly what I'm looking at, what I like to see, and you just learn over time, right? Like sometimes something funky will happen in the market, and I just kind of like live narrate it, and I would agree with that. It is almost closer to a mentorship where you're just kind of like in the weeds with me, right? It's like, oh my God, what was that big wick? And I'll just come in there and be like, well, hey guys, we had a bunch of stop losses up here. We just got that SFP. I'm going short, right? Whatever it is, right? It's not a signals group. I'm not always going to be like, hey, buy here, sell here. We have the pre-made setups with the confirmations I'm looking for. If I'm on the chart and I enter, I keep you guys updated with what I'm doing, but sometimes obviously, I won't be on the chart. I'll be like at a restaurant or something. I'll get an alert on TradingView and I have to take the trade while I'm out. But, it's really there for you guys to learn exactly what I look at, exactly how I trade, and you start to catch on over enough time, right? We teach a lot of more of the advanced stuff, such as exo charts, etc., in the Discord as well. So shout out to Tales of Mystery. That makes me feel very good, brother. Thanks for being in there. Let's see. Frankie, the like button is broken. Shout out to Jose. Smash it harder. Break it more, guys. Smash that like button. Let's go for 550. If we can get 550 likes, it's hard, guys. I'm going to stop doing the I think we're going to stop doing the like-based giveaways just because some people try to buy the likes. But we know when people buy likes. It's just like, so it's like, like we know when they're fake likes. But if we hit 550, Jesse, if you could keep an eye on the likes and make sure it's natural, if we hit 550 likes, we'll give away a Frankie Candles hat. One of these bad boys. But if they're bought, we just can't do it. But let's do it. I think 550 is fair. I think we can get to 550 easily. I hope we pump for my spot portfolio, but I am bearish for my daily trades. Yeah, shout out to Tone. I mean, that's it, right? Like, it's the same thing, Brad. I run into this a lot, right? It's like we look to short the all-time highs, right? And we've shorted this all-time high. We shorted this all-time high. I think we shorted this all-time high. We shorted all these all-time highs. It doesn't mean that we think price is going to zero, right? Like even back here specifically, we were bullish for the continuation into the bull market, right? Like we did not think that this was going to be the bear market. If you guys watch, you guys will know exactly what we looked for down here. But we saw the opportunity, right? The local TA was telling us short this sucker for a drop down to sweep out some of the liquidity we had down here into key support. Made a bunch of money on that drop down and then flip long for the push back into all-time highs, right? Just because we're bearish here for that move down, right? That's just like the day plays. This was more of a swing trade, but, it doesn't mean that you have to be bearish overall. Shout out to Tone. As a trader, you have to be flexible, right? You can't be a bear or a bull. I think a lot of people who are just holding spot bags are like, I'm a bull. Well, that makes sense, right? You just think price is going to go up over long term. You're probably going to be right. But when it comes to trading, you got to be like, I'm a bear, right? And then you want to take a little scalp long here. Now I'm a bull on the 5-minute, but I'm still holding my short from all-time high, so I'm a bear on the higher time frames. You can literally be bearish and bullish at the same time. You can hold a long and a short at the same time and make money on both of those trades. When you learn how to do that, especially when you trade the volume profiles, guys, it is such a magical thing. It's like, let's just, for example, say here, let's say I was still holding this short position I took yesterday from the value area high, right? For example, right, I could go ahead and say, hey, this trade's playing out very nicely. Look to go down to the POC. I lock in some profits, move my stop loss to break even. Now I am in a position where I'm in a guaranteed winning trade. Frankie, how do you take a guaranteed winning trade? That's impossible. It's only a guaranteed winning trade because of the way we manage the trade. It wasn't a guaranteed setup, right? But it is a guaranteed winning trade once you lock in profits and move your stop loss to break even. And let's just say it continues to play out. I take another TP down here. And let's say I want to hold it, right, with my profits locked in case we do get a bigger meltdown, right? Now I can hold this with 2 take profits taken, and I can also take a long. I could take the long here, right? If I take that long, I'm already 2 TPs deep with stop loss at break even. I could take the long. This long can hit TP1. My short is still running. Keep that in mind. And let's say price hits the TP1, stop loss to break even, and price rejects this POC for a bigger drop down. I get stopped out of this trade, the long, in profit for a small TP1, and my short continues to pay me out. Literally in profit in trades both at the same time, and then when one of them fails, the other one runs. This is the most beautiful position to be in while you're trading. I can't tell you how well I sleep at night when I'm in those positions. Because it's like, I don't care if this thing rips or dips, I'm going to win either way, right? And even if they both get stopped out, right? Let's just say price does something super sketch, and it's like stops you out, and you hit some TPs here, and then it stops you out. It's like you made money on this trade, you made money on that trade. So yeah, management of the trades is always going to be the most important thing, guys. The only thing you can control as well, right? You can't control crazy tweets, you can't control liquidity sweeps, you can't control short squeezes, you can't control manipulation, but what you can control is what you do with your trades. If I take the short here with 0 stop loss, and it comes down a little bit, let's say it goes all the way to the POC, I don't take any profits, and I just have no stop loss here, I'm just going to get liquidated, and price pushes up, well, guess what? I didn't take any profit, and then I just wrecked my account, right? Why would I do that? That's so silly. But anyway, let's continue on here. Shout out to Zigzag, said in order to do what Frankie's talking about right now, you have to make sure you're in hedge mode on most exchanges. Yes, just go into the settings on any exchange you have. I think there's no exchange I use that doesn't have hedge mode, but you do have to change the setting, right? Because the first time you try that, you're going to get so excited, and you're going to be like, I'm short, now I'm going to take a hedge long, and it's just not going to be on hedge mode. It's going to mess up your original position. So, yes, you have to make sure that you turn hedge mode on, for sure. Shout out to Zigzag. Good point. Shout out to McKay, said, so when setting traps in the market, do you like to see at least 3 levels of confluence? I think 3 is good to start. At the end of the day, like, what was the confluence up here? It was a golden pocket value area high. That's just 2 levels of confluence. That's enough to take a scalp, obviously. But, you know, I would just say the more confluence, the better, right? I wouldn't put as much. Let's bring this POC of the macro range back into play here, right? If you guys have been watching the channel, you will know that, whoops. Where are we at? Let me pull up the daily. Bada boom. The POC at $96,000. So let me actually just pull this fresh, right? Just to give you guys an idea of what we were looking at, right? So we had this level here at about 96.7, right? That's the POC of the range. And we knew once we got accepted below the $108,000 value area high, just based off the laws of the volume profile, the most magical tool you can use on the charts, we know once we get accepted below this level, it's very high probability that the next place for price to go is the POC. This was an area that is a big target, right? But there was no confluence here, right? There was 0 confluence. It was just the POC. Could you get a bounce off that? Of course. Is it a level that I'm super interested in? Not really. More often than not, I'm going to be looking at the bigger areas of confluence, which, of course, in this case, we're sitting down here in the $85,000 to $82,000 zone. We had like 5 levels of confluence down here. We had like 4 MPOCs, a monthly level, I think. We have the POC of this range. So, yes, I would say like between 2 and 3 levels of confluence would be nice as a key level. But obviously, if you have a level with 6 confluences, that's going to be an even stronger level. So, but I would say 3 is probably good to start with. Shout out to Joe, says, and then you wind up closing the trade, hitting the sell button for the short, if not hedging. Happened to me, happened too many times. Yeah, shout out to Joe. It's happened to me before. Sometimes I'll like have a new account and I forget to turn on hedge mode. I'm like, oh my God, so annoying. It's definitely happened to me before. All right, so let's take a look at some other altcoins here, guys. Again, not really a huge update from yesterday, so I'm not going to spend too much time on them. I think we took a look at Chainlink yesterday as well. Just still in that same situation, right? Front-running the value area low. I'm always suspicious, guys. Like, when you front-run these value area lows, like, sure, we could still get a bounce and a retracement, but it is so high probability that you eventually come down to tap those physical key levels. Now, we did tap, if this zone was bigger, we did tap into a daily MPOC here, but the value area low is just got that magnetic nature to it, and we talked about this on XRP. We saw XRP front-run that value area low right here by, 1%, right? And we get the bounce. And it gets very easy to be like, oh, my God, I missed the tap of the value area low. Now we're pumping. But what happens, right? Eventually, you do just get dragged down to physically tap those levels. And, XRP bouncing perfectly off that 786 Fibonacci retracement. This was the last level we had. We had the golden pocket confluence on the value area low. Once we lost that, there's your last line of defense. And literally tapped that to the tick, like to the penny. saved us. And now we're back in the volume profile. So very simple here for XRP, right? And really, I only brought this up to show that, even if you do get the bounce, it is still more likely that you're going to get sucked down towards that value area low. It's not impossible to just get the front run, but again, more often than not, you will see those taps of the key levels. But when we come back over to Chainlink, right, it's kind of the same thing. It's like maybe we get where is it? Right, maybe we get a little bounce here. We did hit a daily MPOC, so it's not like you're bouncing off of nothing, but you might just come up to play with this POC again and then lose it to come finally fill that range in full, right? Because we could say we got accepted into the range. Once you get accepted and you can't break back out, at that point, you're saying the POC is the next likely target. And look at that. Lower highs, lower lows, directly into the POC. You get a little support, but the laws of the volume profile get you under that POC. And now we're working on potentially coming down to that value area low. So yeah, I would say like your biggest key level of resistance above is going to be the POC, 1435. But eventually, you might even be able to play around with this a little bit. This is the strongest magnet within the profile, the area where the most volume was transacted. And it does tend to act as a magnet. You can even see here, very similar here, right? Look at this. You drop down, you front run the value area low, you get the push back up, you can try to push in, back down, tap the value area low, right? So I would be careful of something like that, but it doesn't mean that you can't get a little bit more of a continuation here. And you get to see, right, POC gets very sticky, right, very sticky. And as far as money flow goes, right, let's take a look at the daily. Like an exaggerated daily bullish divergence, not beautiful in my opinion. 2-day exaggerated bull div. Green dot is confirmed. 3-day green dot printing, 4-day green dot printing, 5-day green dot looking to print, and then obviously that's going to leak into the 6-day and the weekly. So again, just very simple. Like, you have to be aware that these high time frame green dots can give you the bounces up, right? Biggest level of resistance I would be looking at for the full Fibonacci retracement would be $19 all the way up to about $21.08. And then, of course, there's no guarantee you have to come up to that full retracement. I would like to see that confluent with the POC, but it's not. And of course, you can pull these Fibonacci retracements until your heart's desire, right? I'm not going to pull every single level, but I would just be with all this money flow coming out, right? If I wanted to see a massive fill of this range, right, like even the 6-day, right? If I wanted to see a massive fill of this range and massive new all-time highs, what do I want to see on my money flow, right? If I want something like this to happen, really what I want to see is money flow. Literally, I'll show you what money flow should look like. Where's my money flow? I'm going to have to turn the bullish money flow purple, and I'm going to have to turn the bearish money flow blue, right? I literally have to invert the colors in the scale, right? Like this would be much, much better, in my opinion, for a massive bounce into not new all-time highs, but like at least up towards these highs. But the chart, I had to change the settings to make it look like this. We literally see the opposite, right? Does that make sense? It's like, all right, your money flow's in the red, and then it starts to cross green. You're anticipating the higher time frame trend to continue up, right? That is where I'd be looking for massive moves up. Obviously, we have the opposite happening, which is much more indicative, just like everything else, of lower highs and lower lows, right? And the biggest level to get above, in my opinion, would be this value area high. Once you could start flipping that, you can start to talk about maybe coming up a little bit more, but you're just within this volume profile. Value area low, still key support here on the daily MPOC and the daily horizontal, sitting between 1137 and 1086. So as long as we could stay inside this range, doorway to the POC remains open. If we can flip that with maybe your medium time frame money flow coming up, yeah, look at maybe your 5-hour comes up, maybe you can get a bigger continuation. But I just want to kind of give you guys the idea that, the higher time frames are not necessarily saying this is the bottom, send it to new all-time highs. I hope that's the case. But definitely not really pointing towards that. Maybe a little bit of a hidden bull div here. Nah, not really. Wick to wick maybe. But again, it's really that money flow. And when it comes to money flow, guys, it indicates the overall trend. I could try to find another example of like, let's see, 5-day. Let me come down to like a more bearish scenario. Yeah, it's like, look at this scenario, right? So obviously, back in 2021, you start getting the big drop. Money flow is clearly trending out here on the 5-day. Once it crosses over into the red, it's just simple. You're using the money flow as a filter on whether you should be looking for lower highs and lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, or if you're looking for a big bounce into new all-time highs. When money flow is coming into the red like this, sure, that VWAP comes up and gives you the 5-day green dot. You can get the push up, but the money flow is always going to indicate the trend. Green dots and red dots indicate ebb, flow. green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot. The trend is going to be on the side of the money flow, right? Very similar. So when we see, right, like, does that make sense? I don't know how to make it like more, like, I think it's a good way to explain it, right? Like here, what would I be looking at, right? Let me come into bar replay mode. If I was looking at chain link all the way back here, I'd be saying, okay, money flow is coming into the red, but if this green dot prints, we could probably push up. But would I expect that to be a massive new high for a massive new all-time high? Probably not, right? I'm probably going to be looking at our Fibonacci retracements for lower highs and lower lows. Maybe this fib, maybe that fib, right? And of course, green dot prints, you do get the move up, but, you know, again, not every bounce is bullish. People be like, oh my God, you know, we're up 22%, chain link's ripping, right? And it's like, well, contextually, you're still going to be anticipating lower highs and lower lows. And look where the lower high comes in, right on that golden pocket 786 retracement. So just to show you similar situations, right? And that's why I expect that to happen. It doesn't mean it's guaranteed, right? But that's just why I take that stance. I like to give you guys like the real reasons. I don't just come up here and say, you know, I hate Chainlink. I want it to go down. That's never the case. So yeah. All right, let's see. Shout out to Grumpy. Thank you for the super chat. Said, what do you think of the low on CME BTC adjusted continuous? We almost swept the April low, but stopped on the wick. It's rare not to fully sweep it. Could you check the chart? I'd like your opinion. Let me see. Let's take a look at the BTC CME. Almost swept the April low. So there's the April low. I mean, from my personal perspective, I think eventually we just wind up running through all this, right? But, I mean, listen, like, if we come down and take this low, whether you're looking at the CME chart or just, you know, whatever exchange you're looking at, there is an opportunity here, right, when you have a big wick like this, that you could come down and SFP, right? Now, again, would I think that's the bottom for a massive new all-time high? I mean, I hope so, right? Look at that. How beautiful would that be, right? Just that weird structure. That'd be awesome. Call that the, what's the leaf-eating dinosaur? Bronchiosaurus? Is that it? I don't even know. But, you know, you could look for the SFP down there on a higher time frame, like fake out the lows. I'd still, right, just based off money flow, be looking for the lower high and the lower low to eventually crack through all this. But, yeah, something you can look for. Yeah, that's what I would say. This isn't, yeah, I would just say if you sweep it, maybe you get the bounce. But, again, I wouldn't look at that as like, oh, my God, the bottom's in. Hopefully it is, right? But I would eventually, you know, look to come take all this stuff out. I don't want to scare everybody with that line. Again, I don't think it's going to happen that fast. I hope it doesn't happen that fast, right? Hopefully we can get some kind of a retracement in and then come take that stuff out. There's going to be longs to be had, too. Like, let's just assume the top is in. Let's assume we're going into a traditional bear market. You know, there is going to be some kind of retracements, right? Now, obviously, they're further and fewer between. You know, look at any other bear market, right? Like, you do have opportunities for little bounces, right? Opportunities for a bounce, opportunities for a bounce, little bounce, little bounce, little bounce, little bounce, little bounce, right? But obviously, the favor here is to fade the highs and ride those suckers to the downside. So, yeah, hopefully, I don't know exactly. I don't know if I answered your question. I don't know if I really know if you had like a specific question, but that's just my opinion there. Yeah, I do think eventually you'll end up sweeping that. Whether we have to come up first or not, I think we eventually will sweep that low. Shout out to Grumpy. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you. He's talking about Bulbasaur. Shout out to Servando Estrada. Yes, Bulbasaur. It's the secret Bulbasaur formation. We drew a whole scene of SpongeBob the other day, guys. Price goes down and we start to lose our minds. Maybe we'll do some chart art at the end of the stream. Shout out to Felix. Said, Frankie, how do you know what candle to start the fib from? I see you adapt it sometimes, kind of making it suit the narrative. Shout out to Felix. Fibonacci retracements. Here's the thing with Fibonacci retracements. There's some kind of subjectivity to it. You know, the traditional rule is you just want to pull it from a swing low to a swing high, right? So for me, if I were going to pull the full Fibonacci retracement of this entire move up, I would pull from the low to the high, right? Now, this is probably what you're talking about. You might see this. I mean, this is hard because we're already tapping this level, but let's only pull a different one, right? I might be looking at this golden pocket from this swing low to this swing high. We could be like, oh, my God, we have support down here. And then you can move this to the higher low and be like, well, we're actually hitting the 786. Both things are true, right? So you can either pull your fib from the absolute low to the absolute high. This would be a valid Fibonacci retracement. This is actually hilariously confluent with the value area low of this range, which is very interesting because if we come down there and we deviate below the low, you'll have massive support for a bounce. But, you know, if you pull it from here to here, it doesn't really move it that much, but that's still a valid fib. If you pull it from here to here, this is still a valid fib. If you pull it from here to here, that's still a valid fib. If you pull it from here to here, this is no longer valid, right? It would have been valid at the start, right? But once you run through it, it's broken, no longer relevant, right? But you can see we did come down. We got a little bounce from there. So they're all valid, right? You just want to pull it from a high to a low or a low to a high. When you're looking for resistance, you pull it from a high to a low, right? And even here, we look at two different fibs. They're both valid, right? There's your full Fibonacci retracement. And then you can pull it from the significant lower high. This is also a valid retracement. There's no guarantee that you have to come up to that full Fibonacci retracement here, right? I know that if money flow is coming out, lower highs are likely for new lower lows, right? If money flow is coming out. I don't know if the rejection is going to come in on the local fib or if we're going to have to come up to the full fib, right? So they're both relevant. But yeah, that's... you can move them around, right? The one thing I would not do is, like, I would not pull, like, I'm not going to pull from this low to this high and start paying attention to this fib, right? Because this fib would be support on the way down here. Once it gets ran through, it's invalidated. I would never look to, like, keep this on the chart and say it's resistance, right? You would need to pull from the high to the low there for the resistance, which is kind of in the same spot. But hopefully that makes sense to you. It's somewhat subjective, right? And I showed the example on the Bitcoin chart. Many different times back here, right? It was like, could you look for a rejection? The question might be like, how do you handle this, right? Well, if I'm looking for lower highs and lower lows, I know this is the first significant retracement. You might even have a local retracement that you're looking at, even more local than this one. But as price pushes into this level, am I getting my entry triggers to take a short? Does the chart look like we're going to continue down from here? There's going to be signals that we look for, entry confirmations that we look for to take the short. If price comes up here and I don't get entry confirmations, maybe my 4-hour money flow is coming up, daily money flow is coming up, it looks like we're going to continue up, there's no confirmation to take the short, I sit on my hands and I just wait for the next key level, which would be up here, right? They're like, okay, cool, we didn't get our confirmations here, let's let price continue up, come into the next, and then maybe you get your confirmations up here and you take the short. So hopefully that makes sense. Shout out to Felix. Great question. I'm surprised more people don't ask that question. Shout out to Tales of Mystery. Thank you for the super chat. Says, do you believe in full-time day trading once becoming profitable without any other source of income? Shout out to Tales of Mystery. I actually have an interesting take on this. I absolutely do believe full-time day trading, like, as a thing. What I do not believe in is selling it as a get-rich-quick scheme for people. Something as scalable and lucrative as trading is not going to come easy, right? It's like I compare it to like going to the gym or becoming an NBA player, right? If you're going to be an NBA player, you're not going to pick up a basketball for the first time and expect to be in the Hall of Fame the next week, right? It's the same thing with trading. It takes a long time. You have to learn all the TA. You have to learn all the strategies. You have to get your market experience, right? And then the whole other bigger battle on top of that is you can get the TA, the strategies, all that stuff down pat. Then you have to work on your psychology and your risk management, right? That is, and in my opinion, it's like 80-20. 80% risk management and psychology, 20% TA and analysis, right? I know that sounds crazy. They go hand in hand, but they're two totally different skills. One thing I would never recommend is when someone comes up to me and says, hey, I'm going to quit my job when they're learning and they're not making money yet. I'm going to quit my job to focus on day trading full-time. I'm going to make this work. I would try as hard as I could to talk somebody out of that. And the reason for that is if you leave your day job, right, the best thing you could do in trading is emotionally separate yourself from the money. It's like points, right? Think of it as like points in a game. You want to totally emotionally separate yourself from the money. And if you quit your job while you're learning how to trade and you're not consistently making money yet, you are literally jacking up the difficulty on the hardest thing about trading, which is the emotion. Because if you're going to rely on paying your rent with trading before you actually know what you're doing, Every time you take a trade and you lose, you're going to be like, oh my God, all right, well, now I have to catch the next trade, because if I don't catch the next trade, then I'm going to have to pay rent. And then you're probably going to jump in prematurely, or you're going to enter on no confirmation. You're just looking to chase that next trade. And as I always say, if you chase the money, it will run away from you. You're not setting traps anymore. You're thinking, oh, I got stopped out and now we're dumping. Let me flip short. And there's real no short to be had. It's just chopping around. And then you get stopped out again, and now you're starting to panic. And then that emotion just becomes 10 times worse. So I would never recommend quitting your job. This is probably like against what a lot of people would say. I actually don't have this viewpoint on other things. Trading's just very specific because the emotion is so important. Like if you're starting a business, I'd be like, burn the boats, man. Like go all in. Give yourself no choice but to succeed. I see it different with trading because all it's going to do is increase the difficulty on the number one thing that you have to get under control. So that's kind of my thought. Shout out to Tales of Mystery. 100% doable, but I would just never recommend people like quit their job to learn, right? Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to pay your market tuition. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to lose trades. You have to give yourself that room, right? You have to give yourself that buffer. And what I would do is I would actually have I would have like gigs, right? I would do like DoorDash. I never actually did DoorDash. I did something similar. And then just use that, come home from your job and then, have a side hustle or something that you're making money from just to learn how to trade, right? And then it's just extra income that you're using to trade. Now you're even further removed from the emotion of that money. Because it's like, well, hey, if I blow up this account, I'm already doing this, side gig just to replenish it, right? So you have to kind of like get a job to support the learn. It's like almost like paying your way through college almost. This is another thing too. People go to college going to tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Yet nobody goes in for the first week of orientation and says, why am I not getting $150K a year with the corner office? What's going on? I've been here for a week, right? No. They're like, oh, I got to be here. I got to pay all this money to eventually get to that point. It's very similar with trading. So hopefully that helps you out. Shout out to Tales of Mystery. Great question. Let's see. Shout out to Master Kuzi. Thank you for the super chat. Said, what are your thoughts on BTC dominance on the weekly right now? Money flow looks like it wants to come out aggressively, and a red dot. Yeah. So we actually did already look at dominance. The 4-day money flow has crossed over red yesterday during the live stream, which is a nice sign, right? Like just at face value, any chart, I don't care if I'm looking at gold, silver, oil, does not matter. If I see this money flow coming out, this looks weak. Right? It looks like it wants to continue a trend to the downside. And when we scoot up to the, if you're getting the 4-day money flow crossover, the 5-day is probably going to follow suit. The 6-day is also probably going to follow suit. And eventually that will leak into the weekly as well. So we do have the weekly red dot. We do have the money flow coming out. You're still pretty thick in the green there. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, I mean, if this winds up breaking back down into the red, you can see, we had one breakdown into the red here. We got a significant drop below the range, and then we wind up coming back up for one more high, and then eventually that weekly comes out and you get the full meltdown. So, this would, whether you're looking, I mean, even here, even though you did come back up, that money flow crossover did indicate more downside. So it would be something to keep an eye on. I'm keeping an eye on some of the earlier signals because this still has a little bit of work to do. But that 4-day is a good start. If we can keep this to come into, as long as this isn't like a fake out to come back into the green, this could start to look a little bit better, right? We are getting the rejection from our key level of resistance that we've been looking at for I can't tell you how long, right? So it's nice that we're getting the rejection from the key level. It's also nice that this money flow is coming out. So there you go. Thank you for the super chat. It looks good, right? I'm not saying, oh my God, massive alt season incoming, but if you're looking for Bitcoin dominance coming down, I mean, at face value, this looks bearish, right? If it just yeets up and starts pumping and this money flow fakes back out into the green, there's no way to predict that. We can only take what's at face value here on the charts, and this does look a bit weak. Let's see. Shout out to the bedhead guy. It says, I focused on turning over a few dollars consistently before I scaled. Yeah, absolutely. That's the other thing too, right? You got to start small. Most people don't have the patience to start small. They don't want to put $100 into their account and make $3 on a trade because they're thinking, what is that $3 going to do for me? That is focusing too much on the money, right? You have to understand that even if you start small and you make $3 on a $100 account, that is 3% on the entire account. That is $3,000 on a $100,000 account, right? So the trades are the same. The risk management is the same. All you have to do is scale up the money. And I recommend people start small because obviously you're going to make mistakes in the beginning. You're going to think you're doing really good, and then you're going to get humbled, right? And then you're going to, realize your mistakes. You're going to fix them. You're going to get back in the game. You're going to make the mistake again and be like, why did I make that mistake? You're going to have that mental battle. But absolutely, start small. Prove to yourself that you can master the system and the skill of trading before actually putting in a significant amount of money. You have to prove to yourself that you can manage $100 before you can manage $100,000. So absolutely, great point. If you're young enough, just go for it. I mean, yeah, shout out to Amisi, Emisi. I don't know how to say your name. Listen, if you're super young, I mean, this is it's a different world now. When I was learning how to trade, or just like back when I was starting to learn technical analysis, we live in a totally different world. Like when I was starting to learn technical analysis was when the iPhone 3G was out, and I found a stock simulator app, and that's really what kind of when I really started learning technical analysis. This was before crypto, but there was now they have kids that are trading prop firms in high school. I mean, it's a totally different world out there now. So yeah, I mean, age could have something to do with it as well. Shout out to Getchy. Says, can you check others' dominance on the monthly with juicy bull tips? Shout out to Getchy. Let's see. Others' dominance. Please give me the bull div here. Please give me the bull div. Okay, all right. I see it. Shout out to Getchy. I knew you must have been seeing something, bro. I know you must have been seeing something. There's your lower lows. There's your higher lows. It's there. I see what you're looking at, bro. Whew, thank God. I was like, we checked 3 charts, and I was like, I don't know what he's looking at. But there it is. I do see it. You 100% are seeing this correctly. I don't love this as like a very strong bull div. This is very weak looking in my opinion. It is a bull div. The green dot prints, it could still give you a bounce, absolutely. But of course, I think you can understand the thing I don't love about this is the money flow. But who knows, right? And we do have this chart marked up. We have this little volume profile up here. This is the level to break. And I actually think I had a alert set here, and I will reset the alert. But at this point, right, it's like, when was this? This was back in November of 2020. November of 2024. It's like you would have hoped to bounce off this value area low to go back to the POC and back to the value area high. You got a lot of work to do here, in my opinion, right? If you can get that, bull div, if it does wind up printing, big level of resistance here at about 9.5. If you could flip this level to support, then you could start to look. And of course, right, money flow all has to come back up here. The monthly money flow looks pretty gross right now. 2-week money flow back in the red. Weekly money flow in the red. 6-day kind of flat in the red. 5-day just attempting to come up. I think the one thing is you've been in the red for some time, right? Like maybe it's time to come into the green. It's not a guarantee. But, I would say if you do get the big move up, this is the level to look at. But yes, 100% Getchy. I see what you're looking at here now. You can probably see it on the RSI as well. So, yes, very slight, but it is there. Shout out to Getchy. I'm glad we got to the bottom of that, bro. So I do see it. We'll see if that green dot prints, and then maybe we get a little bit of a pop-up, especially, again, if Bitcoin retraces, dominance keeps dumping. Could potentially be nice to see. And Bitcoin just chopping sideways here, guys. Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. All right, let's see. Hey, shout out to Tone. Said, appreciate the cent or you're not worth the dollar. That is a great saying, bro. That is a great saying. Let's see. Caspa had a move since yesterday. We did take a look at Caspa yesterday. We're going to have to check it out over here. All right. Take a look at the daily. All right, so we're pushing into the weekly MPOC. 16-hour red dot looking to print. Daily VWAP rolling over. All right, so you are pushing into the weekly MPOC. If you could flip this. I mean, hey. I would say if... Pull it to the lower high. Yeah, so you got a little 786 action there. Get above this POC at 0.05155. could get a little push up into that value area high at 0.058572. This is all on the journey to hopefully coming up to the value area low golden pocket confluence here, sitting between 0.063 and 0.067. Once you get above this value area high, maybe you can get a push into the 786 POC, sitting right here between about 0.0719 and 0.078. Once you flip that, we can look to go to the value area high, but these are the big resistance levels, in my opinion, right? Here's your number one, weekly MPOC, value area high, value area low POC. Once you get above this, could be pushing up towards this value area high. Let me just mark this out real quick. So this is your local range. The hope locally would be to stay inside the profile, flip the POC, come up to the value area high. So this is your local range. Value area high sitting at 0.058, POC sitting at 0.051, value area low sitting at 0.0476. Once you break out of here, you're just coming back up into your upper value area, which you have to get above these Fibonacci retracements in this POC, which are going to be big resistance. Once you get above here, maybe we see the bigger move up towards the 10-cent level. So there you go. That's what I would look at. Taking a look at the 4-hour, again, looking very similar to Bitcoin. I believe this is what we were looking at yesterday as well, right? This 4-hour money flow crosses into the green. Maybe you can let me know if this is what we were talking about. I have a hard time remembering because we look at so many coins. But I would have to assume talking about this money flow crossing into the green on the 4-hour could indicate the continuation of the upside. Where were we yesterday? Yesterday was the 24th. I guess, yeah, so we were kind of just hanging out right here. So if you did get a push into this profile, your hope here is to hold the value area low. All right, 0.0479. Flip that. Continue up through that local profile. 4-hour money flow looks pretty decent for a continuation. Even if you had to go for some like retracements and then get back up in there, still could look for the continuation of that overall trend, just based off that 4-hour money flow crossover into the green. So there you go. And then if we get a big drop, right, your next big level of support is going to be this weekly and monthly at 0.034 and 0.033. So there you go. A little bit of CASPA analysis. Shout out to OC2B7. I think that's what that says. Thank you for the answer, Frankie. Best TI on YouTube. Shout out to OC. I appreciate you, brother. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, man. 6-7. Shout out to McKay. 6-7. I don't even get that, guys. I think I'm officially unk. 6-7. I just know people do that. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why people say it. Man, I'm getting old. Let's see. Shout out to Felix. Said, Frankie, one more question out of curiosity. What is the DWH? That doorway to higher prices is the DWTHP. I know doorway is one word, but yes. What is that showing on the chart? I see you have it on almost all the charts. Yeah, so all that means is, because when we look at the volume profiles, right, just from like a simple standpoint, the base of my analysis or the base of my trading strategies is looking at volume profiles, right? And I'll just break this down very simply. Inside of a volume profile, I'll even hide these boxes just so you guys, like, there's always 3 major levels. You have the value area high, you have the POC, and you have the value area low. Value area low is the bottom of the range. POC typically falls somewhere in the middle of the range. This is not 100% of the time. It's really just the area where the most volume was transacted. It's also looked at as the strongest magnet within the profile. All these levels are magnetic, which is why they work so well, right? This is why I love them. So what we look at here is this is a value area, aka inside of this range is the fair value for price. So therefore, we can say when you deviate above that value area, we can start to look at that as overvalued price, expensive. This is where we want to start looking for shorts. In anticipation, when price is overvalued, it is going to oftentimes seek out the fair value, right? So when you have an overvalued asset, if you can get the bearish confirmations and a reason to take the short, you look to take that short with a very clear plan. And that clear plan is to short that sucker back into the fair value, right? Which is back into the value area. And the fairest price, the strongest magnet, is the POC. That is your major target number 1. So if you could find the confirmations up here, you have a very clear roadmap for that trade. You're looking to get accepted back into the range. Once you get accepted back into the range, there's a high probability that you're going to get sucked down towards that POC. You might cling to that POC for a minute, but eventually when you lose it, you are going to go to that value area low. Very magnetic, very high probability. I call it the laws of the volume profile. When you deviate below, we view this as undervalued. If inside here is the fair value, above is expensive and below is cheap. So when price is relatively undervalued based off your previous price action, this is where we want to look for longs. Once you get back above that value area low, aka the doorway to higher prices, the reason I label it like that is because when you deviate below, if you can get those confirmations, you're looking to push into that value area low. And once you break above it, it's the doorway to get a high probability rotation into the POC, flip the POC, go to the value area high. That's why I have those marked as doorway to higher prices. So oftentimes when I don't mark them on my local ranges, typically it's like a big range, right? So when we look at CASPA here on the high time frames, it's like, well, hey guys, here's our upper value. Eventually, if we impulse out of this value and get accepted into our previous value, the doorway to higher prices, this is a little tricky because this is actually marked on the POC. And the reason for that is because the POC is so close to the value area low. At the end of the day, you could see something like this happen, right? Where it's like, I'm above the doorway to higher prices, but you have the POC right above you, right? And that can get rejected. So when the POC is not like in the middle of the range, I will just mark that POC as the doorway to higher prices. And then I just look at that as like one big door to higher prices. But more often than not, if the POC is in the middle of the range, the value area low is the doorway to higher prices. And of course, you're not going to range around forever, right? Deviate below the low, go to the POC, back to the high. Get a little fake out, deviate above, back in, back to the POC, back to the low, deviate, back to the POC, back to the high, deviate, back to the value area high, can't get out, back to the POC, back to the low. Eventually, you're going to break down out of the range, right? So it's not going to work every single time. But again, the way you can identify this is if you have money flow crossing into the red, we're on the daily here, right? So I could say to myself, well, hey, if I get down to this POC, if I'm in a short position here, I can say to myself, well, hey, if I'm targeting the value area low, is there a high probability that will come down here? Probably, because if we get a bounce off the POC, money flows in the red, I'm looking for lower high, lower low, right? Which would give me that magnetic target of the value area low. And then when I get down here, money flow's still in the red, letting you know that, hey, maybe, right, you're not going to be looking for a massive long position if money flow is crossing into the red, right? So maybe you're looking at that as an opportunity to hold your short position for some more profit as you lose that range. Obviously, you're not going to range around forever. But you can use that money flow. A lot of people say, I get your strategies. I've been using them. It's been working. But how do you know when you're going to get that loss of the range, right? A lot of times it can have to do with the higher time frame money flow, right? And if we come over here to the 2-day, I'll try to see, yeah, like you can see your 2-day money flow crosses into the red. So there's going to be some signs that you will get that big drop out. But for the most part, if you're going to be ranging around, I usually trade these volume profiles until they break. And more often than not, because we're shorting at the highs and longing at the lows, whether this rips up to higher prices, well, I'm still probably holding a portion of this long from the low, right? And if price wants to break down, because I short the high of the range, chances are I'm probably going to be in a position from the top of the range, right? Which is usually the high of the move before the big breakdown. So hopefully that makes sense. A little bit of volume profile sauce for you. So that's what the doorway to higher prices means. And then like even on if you approach, let's say like as you're approaching a value area low, you could even mark this as doorway to lower prices because if you get accepted in here, you're expecting a move to the POC in the value area low. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you out and answers your question. 6-7 should have died out a while ago. I'm surprised it's still a thing, to be honest. Shout out to McKay. Well, if I'm talking about it, it might not be a thing anymore. I might be late to that train. Thank you for the detailed answer. Shout out to Felix, of course, bro. Shout out to Gen Z in the chat, said Frankie the Don. Shout out to Gen Z. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. Someone told me that a 6-7 Halloween when I was handing out candy. Oh, someone told me I have a 6-7 Halloween when I was handing them candy. I was so confused. Shout out to Based. Shout out to Based Bailey, bro. Let's see. 2-hour money flow flip green on BTC. So let's just do one more last check-in on Bitcoin here as we continue to wiggle sideways here. 2-hour money flow. Yeah, money flow crossover into the green, I believe, yesterday as well, and then it kind of faked back out. But, yeah, generally trending up here, right? 4-hour money flow also. Looking at, you got the 4-hour green dot printing now. 15-minute money flow crossover. So, I mean, guys, very simply, like I said in the beginning of the stream, just to leave you guys off on this note, I am going to be waiting. Let me turn off the oh, I redrew this range. I was like, what is this? Just looking at this local range here. If we can get out of here, if that 4-hour money flow crosses green and we can get out of here, the next big targets I will be looking at, 90,000. Let me turn on the weekly real quick. Actually, I just pull up the resistance. Next big target to the upside, if we break out of the range, is going to be, whoops, 90,344 up to about, I'm going to call it $92,000, right? Even maybe 93, to be honest, if you want to come take out these highs. But this is going to be the next big level. Weekly MPOC 786 anchored VWAP. If we could break out here, this is the next area I'm interested in some kind of rejection. But of course, if that 4-hour money flow is crossing green, we could still take the short, but we are going to be careful of bounces for higher lows and higher highs. Why? If that money flow is crossing green, we're looking for the trend to continue up. Doesn't mean you can't capitalize on the short. And at the end of the day, if that money flow fails and we get a bigger drop down, well, hey, you're holding a short. That's very nice. And then if we can get above that level, start breaking above 93K, and it's not a fake out, I'm going to be looking up towards our next big level, which is going to be sitting in the $96,000 zone. We'll start looking higher than that when it comes relevant, right? But these are the next two big zones to the upside. $90 to $92,000. Get above that. We're looking at between about 95 all the way up to about 96.7K. If we come down, of course, we have the daily MPOC on the point of control and golden pocket of the range. Again, I do prefer to take out the low, but with the confluence here on the golden pocket and the daily MPOC, it's definitely a level we can look at. Right, so for the moves up, these are the major, these are the major targets. For the move down, target number 1, if that fails, I would much prefer to see the value area low taken out. So these are the levels that I am sitting and waiting for, and we will see what happens, setting the traps in the market, guys, and just waiting to see what Bitcoin wants to do. Shout out to Hastronaut. Says, what is your average amount of leverage for shorting or longing? Shout out to Hastronaut. The amount of leverage I use is pretty much irrelevant. If you don't understand why I am saying that, go watch the video in the beginner series. I think it's called The Only Leverage Trading Tutorial You Need to See, and you'll understand. A lot of people just think if you jack up the leverage, it's super risky. That's not necessarily the case. It can be the case, but if you go watch that video, you'll understand exactly why I answered the question the way I did. Very important. If no one has seen that video, go watch that video. It's very, very, very important when it comes to like how your leverage affects your margin, what moving your leverage around actually does, how it affects your position, how it affects your plan. So go check that out. Shout out to Jesse. If you could potentially drop that link in. Shout out to Tony D. Tony D already dropped it. But if you go to the beginner series, I think it's the only leverage trading tutorial you need to see. Go check that out. Yeah, I mean, yeah, risk tolerance as well. But again, leverage doesn't always increase your risk, right? It will make your liquidation level much higher. But if you're using good risk management, you'll see why, like, how much leverage you use. Like, I could be in a 100x leverage trade and still be risking the same amount that I risk on a lower leverage trade. But go watch that video. It's very, very important. I think a lot of people don't talk about it. Yeah, shout out to Hastronaut. Definitely go check out that video. It'll probably answer all your questions. But yeah, with all that being said, guys, I think that's all the time we got for today's live stream. I appreciate you all for hanging out with us here on the live stream, and hopefully we can get this push. Next target, 91 to 92K. Above that, we got the 95 to 96K level. If we come down, we're looking for that POC golden pocket locally at about 84 to 83K. And if we start breaking down, maybe we can look at potentially breaking the low at 80,500. So yeah, pray for Bitcoin, guys. Hopefully we can get the push up. Hopefully that 4-hour money flow can continue to the upside and give us a little bit of relief here. But until tomorrow, guys, I will see you here. Same place, same time. 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget, guys, Frankie Trading Candles. FrankieCandlesTrading.com if you want to check out the discounts and the Black Friday deals on the premium Discord. And with all that being said, that's all I got for tonight's live stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. You know the rest. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm going to get that second bell. Where the f*** is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, I can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up. up, whose man's high? Through it all, I stay the same. I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up from my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right. I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life. I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose, and I'm coming right inside. I'm in mine, yeah.
Dude, hello? Bro, why are you ignoring my calls? Pump it. Please, for the love of God. We got money flow coming up. They'll think it's the TA, but just do it. Just do it. Give us a little relief. I don't care if it even goes to 103K. Yeah, but we're family, dude. You know, I'm starting to get annoyed. I know I annoy you to move the market, but I'm starting to get annoyed that you're blocking my calls. You'll think about it. Okay. That's all I ask, bro. That's all I ask. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. All right. Okay. Oh. That wasn't my cousin, guys. That was not Satoshi. I swear. He said he might pump it. He's pissed, guys. He's pissed. He's helped us out the whole bull run. He's just annoyed. He's tired of pumping it. And he's gonna block my number. Shout out to Jenzi. He said, hashtag not a signals group. Shout out to Jenzi. But guys, have a great night. I'll see you here tomorrow, same place, same time. It's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the